So will Virginia activists close down a big Amazon facility the way they did here in New York? Anti-Amazon protesters in Virginia trying to scuttle a second headquarters in Arlington. It's based on similar concerns about government incentives that have been given to Amazon. Will we see a repeat of what happened in New York? What do you think?
David, the answer is no. One, Virginia does not have the powerful unions that New York has, where they thought they could force Amazon into unionization, beat them over the head. The other thing is Virginia politicians may be greedy, but they're still way behind those in New York, where the first thing that comes into mind a lot of these people is not what jobs can you bring, but what can you do for me, what can you do for my son-in-law and his insurance firm, that kind of a thing, shakedowns, constant shakedowns. So I don't think it's going to happen in Virginia what happened here in New York. And the fact that it happened in New York, I think, shows Virginia, by golly, don't let that happen here.
And the incentive levels are different as well, because it's not $3 billion in terms of tax grants. It's $500 million and change. So basically, cash grants per job is $22,000 in Virginia. Compare that to close to $50,000 here in New York. So I think the math is different. It's probably more palatable for those living in Northern Virginia at this point.
That's a great point, Susan. But here's the danger, though, for Virginia and other states. To your point, Steve, there's other places for Amazon to go. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't found a new solution just quite yet with respect to what happened in New York, because you still have the Carolinas in play, in my opinion. You've got Texas. Nevada, as we just learned from the last segment, is doing great. So Amazon can find another place if there's protesters that are going to stink up the joint.
You're talking about Virginia activists. I didn't even know there were Virginia activists. I thought Virginia was where you go to get away from the activists.
It's for lovers,
but
Jack.
I guess I'll tell them the same thing that I tried to tell them here, which is that why are we having an argument about union participation before the jobs have even been created? Why don't we just hold out and wait to see if they're good jobs that people like? Maybe we don't have to worry about people being abused and their jobs not loving it. Maybe they'll turn out to be pretty good.
Well, on Amazon, they're going to pay $150,000. Does not sound like minimum wage work, sweat work.
And they'll say,
and they're worried they're going to lose them.
They'll say they'll make the place too popular. They'll drive up the cost of living. Yeah, that's true. That's what happens. There's something worse than that. It's when the place you're living becomes unpopular and the cost of living plunges.
By the way, Arlington, Virginia is a feeder town for Washington, D.C., which, of course, is extremely liberal. So I'm just wondering, I mean, maybe it could fail. I mean, it's Virginia, but it's Arlington, Virginia, and that's a very different kind of place.
It is true.
Virginia
used to be a red state. Now it's sort of a bluish state, precisely because of what's happened over the spillover from Washington. And hopefully there'll be a candidate in the White House someday who will make it a point to take all the facilities in Washington, D.C. and spread them around the country.
By the way, having said that, 68% of Virginians approve the deal. Of course, most New Yorkers also approve the deal. I mean, that's the bottom line. I just wonder how long the politicians can go against the will of the people.
Whenever it suits their convenience. They've been doing it for a long time.
But
and David,
yeah, go ahead.
David, to that question, we'll see what the fallout remains to be in New York. I mean, what are we, guys? A few weeks off of that terrible situation that happened. So we'll see what happens in the following elections to see if that actually carries through, or if people forget about it and let the politicians get away with that bad mistake.
If Amazon walks away down there, do we start the beauty contest all over again? Hey, Chicago, you might still be in this thing. Look alive up there.
Chicago loves you, Amazon.
All right, gang, that does it for Bulls and Bears. We'll see you next time.